The dead of night had soaked the crumbling shack in a biting chill. Cold, damp nests seep ed upward through the cracks in the stone. Dark green patches of mold crept across the mottled walls. An old torch was planted every few steps. The flames sway ed unstia daily in the draft that cut through the corridor. Their dim yellow light cast trembling shadows across the stone bricks, stretching two figures into long, thin silhouettes. The air was thick with the smell of DMP dust and a faint trace of rust. Every breath carried Akil that lingered in the chest. Tiger lowered his eyes, dragging the corpse of the dead Martin by his side. His formal suit was smeared with blood and mud. Martin's head hung limply. Tiger's steps were steady against the uneven stone floor, each one making no extra sound. He spoke in a low voice, and it echoed faint lie through the empty corridor. There's a swamp nearby. A round trip takes only 10 minutes. If we dump him there, no one will find him. Rebecca quickly caught up, the solace of her shoes scraping softly against the stone. She looked at Martin's body, and a flicker of complicated emotion passed through her eyes. There was disappointment, and also an indescribable sense of regret. Her voice softened without her realizing. "Let me help you, old man. After all, he used to be my teammate." The two of them dragged their shadows deeper into the night. The thick darkness slowly swallowed their backs from view. Leon stood silently inside the room, his gaze fixed on their retreating figures. His expression was grave, and he said nothing. The air carried the heavy tension of an oncoming storm. He knew the real mole would not be able to stay hidden much longer. This trap, laid over 3 years, had only just begun. The scene shifted. In the empty room, 2 cups of water sat on the stone table, long gone cold. Tiny droplets clung to the sides of the cups. Victor wore a perfect measured expression of regret, but deep in his eyes hid a trace of barely noticeable delight. He raised a hand and patted Leon on the shoulder, leaning forward slightly, putting on the act of an old teammate offering comfort. His tone was full of shared sorrow. Every word was read with perfect control. The performance was flawless, as if he truly meant to ease the captain's burden. "Captain, you don't need to blame yourself. Honestly, I was shocked too that Martin was the mole. But in the end, he made the wrong choice. You don't need to carry too much of a burden over this." Before the final words had even fully fallen, everything changed in an instant. Victor suddenly flipped his wrist and snatched up the pistol from the table. The cold barrel bang slammed against Leon's forehead. The icy touch of the metal pierced through the fabric at once, sharp and bone deep. The gentle mask on Victor's face shattered instantly. A savage curl twisted at the corner of his mouth. The killing intent in his eyes was almost overflowing. The speed of his change was terrifying. 1 second ago, he was a considerate teammate. The next, he had become a grim reaper come to claim a life. Isn't that right? Leon's body did not move an inch. His lashes lowered slightly, revealing almost no emotion. He spoke softly, his voice carrying a trace of understanding, and a chill that cut to the bone. "Victor. It was you." Victor let out a sinister laugh, and in the cramped room it sounded especially harsh. He looked Leon up and down, as if examining prey already caught in his hands. As if everything was completely under his control, a sure victory. "Before they get back, I'll have more than enough time to kill you and leave." Leon. He went on talking to himself, his fingered IP lightly tapping against the cold gun, having already woven a flawless lie in his head. He had even thought through tomorrow's newspaper headline in perfect detail, as if he could already see himself earning merit, receiving rewards, and rising straight to the top. Tomorrow's headline will read, "Former Vice Commander of the Dragón, Slaying Army Executes the Empire Straighter, Leon." But regrettably, he failed to rescue the young son of a certain minister from Leon Shan's. What do you think of that story? Even with the muzzle right in front of him, Leon's voice remained unnaturally calm, even carrying a faint hint of mockery. He did not even lift his eyelids, as if what was pressed to his head was not a deadly weapon, but nothing more than a worthless piece of scrap metal. You never had much of a sense of humor before. Victor let out a cold laugh, his fingers slowly tightening on the trigger. His knuckles turned faint like pale from the force. Years of resentment and jealousy churned in his eyes. People change, Leon. You should never have come back. Did killing Constantine make you think you had the power to challenge the Empire? The moment Leon heard that, the last trace of doubt in his eyes vanished completely. He slowly raised his gaze to Victor. His eyes were terrifyingly clear. At that moment, all speculation finally settled. The truth had at last risen to the surface. "So, it was the Empire that sent you to frame me." The smile on Victor's face grew more and more wild. All the unwillingness and jealousy he had buried for years erupted in this very moment. All these years, he had always lived in Leon's shadow. Forever the perennial runner-up, always trailing behind you. He had bottled up that resentment for far too many years. He had always thought he'd already killed Leon, never imagining the man had survived. And now, he was going to remove this obstacle for good. "All these years, you were always the one beating me. But in today's contest, you've lost completely." He viciously shoved the gun forward. The barrel pressed hard against Leon's forehead. He reveled in the thrill of revenge, in the feeling of crushing the former genius, the eternal number one beneath his feet. And the one who beat you is the loser you defeated again and again. You must be feeling very regretful right now. Huh? Leon's gaze was sharp as a blade. Facing the cold muzzle, he showed not the slightest fear. There was no trace of panic in his voice. Instead, it carried a faint note of pity, as if he were looking at a pathetic clown. "Regret? I swear, Victor, after you pull that trigger, you'll be the one who regrets it." Victor let out a scoffing laugh, his face full of disdain. He took it as nothing more than stubborn bravado from a man on the verge of death, just empty words to save face. He did not take it to heart at all. Hey, as expected of the former dragon, slaying hero. Even at death's door, your mouth is still as hard as ever. As his words fell, a ghostly blue energy began to gather slowly at the muzzle. The faint blue glow lit up Victor's twisted face. The aura of death instant lie spread through the room, pressing down so heavily it was hard to breathe. "Then let me see. How exactly you going to make me regret it?"